All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Carlos here. I'm Sachari Carlos. So going back to the subject, which I was saying about the relationship. So there is a degree, life for ourselves looks rather linear. When you do Kriya Yoga, you actually become different on many levels. And um, what can be seen is that you actually look different, but you're still yourself. It's just that we're looking at before you were looking at yourself as the pattern of behaviors as your body. Now you're looking yourself more as a relationship, and eventually you just are. So there is a difference in the way that people experience their life when they do meditation. But the subject of this video is buying shit you don't need at prices you can't afford. What is that which you don't need, and what is the price that you cannot afford? What you cannot afford is actually missing on the opportunity to do Kriya Yoga, and not only to do Kriya Yoga, but to attain a heightened level of awareness of who you really are. And this could be looked at from a very simple standpoint. Here's the tragic part. You are somebody that's divine in nature. How is it that your life does not manifest divinity as you have described it, as you conceive it in your heart or in your mind? Why is there so many bad things that happen to us? So that in itself is a pretty damn good question. And whatever the answer to that may be, I saw some time ago that Lord Shiva, Brahma, after doing his creation, was very proud of it. He has 5 heads, and Lord Shiva saw that there was people that were suffering. I was like, man, this creation actually sucks, and he destroyed 2 heads of Brahma, Brahma, the creator god. And when you think about it, what you have the capacity in this life to attain things which have never been given to other people. Okay, it's not a money question, folks. It's money is something that you can have, you can replace. If you lost $10, folks, you can make up for it by getting another $10 by any other method. It doesn't really matter the way you get it, but the money is easily replaceable. Time is not easily replaceable, and even though you're an infinite being, your opportunity is not infinite in its scope. In fact, your definition of yourself changes every life that you have. Essentially, every life that you have, you're a different individual. If you're born to the same degree of samsaric bondage, if you want, or in a sense, if you're born to the same degree of lack of knowledge of who you are in reality, then this is what they say samsara is the prolonged sets of behaviors which manifest an individual personality that just keeps on choosing pain and bondage. And that is unfortunately what a lot of us are dealing with. And so considering that the gap between the goal of human life and the individual has been bridged significantly by these yogis who have decided to share very sacred techniques, which in fact propel human evolution to a very high degree with very minimal effort. Uh, you know, it's when you look at people, folks, every time they buy something out of pleasure, when they buy things because it makes them happy, It's conditioning. Every time a man tries to be nice to a woman, he's trying to condition her. And you as a man know that. So every time a woman tries to be pretty, she's trying to condition you. It's a reciprocal action, but different in scope, whereby one plays a role and the other one plays the other. They each serve one another egoistically because the girl is only caring about herself when she's applying her makeup, and the man is only caring about himself when he's giving her flowers. So, this paradoxical existence and mutually accepted relationship, which really is egotistical in nature, is the foundation to a lot of what today has become interpersonal relationships to the same degree that look at now at all the virtual signaling that is there in the web. It's false appearances. It's a world of mirage. There's virtual signaling essentially everywhere. And people, despite having a lot of the time, feeling down in their heart they're having good intentions, the only intentions they have is their own well-being. So that is something that will be a dramatic. It has to be a dramatic change when you, by your own state of consciousness, can perceive the entire universe as your very own self. That must be amazing. And these are some of the experiences that people get in Kriya Yoga. In yoga in general, it's that they become one with the mind of the universe, and consequently, they are the universe. The universe, that means the galaxies, the stars, everything. They are absolutely everything. Buying things you don't need at prices you can't afford. Look at the YouTube hit pieces and sensations, like the people that have become extremely popular on YouTube. Look at the type of videos they do, and look at the way that people are behaving. Look at how the videos are quick to switch frames to, I mean, there's a lot of the setting. People are becoming extremely efficient at catching others and catching others' attentions. Uh, Unfortunately. And well, at the same time, an individual is not a human being in of itself. You're a soul. You're something way greater than just a human being. It brings in to show that because some individuals are actually within the belief that they are the human body, it shows you the potential of humans to just be a fucking fool. If you just look at CNN, let's just look at CNN. If you know, it's probably not the best example. Because CNN is just another person. Like the news anchors on CNN, they're extremely censored. They're very much politicized. They are controlled. They are essentially everything that the mind does to you. It conditions you, it controls you, it guides you, and then it laughs at you when you're fucked. So these news anchors, in a lot of the world of today, in their lack of realization, which has been, how do you prove the absence of something that doesn't essentially exist in the heart of those individuals as a reality? For example, how do you prove to somebody that's stupid that they are stupid? That's very difficult because they need the insight and the knowledge to prove and recognize that they're stupid, but so they can't. So you having to prove it is even more difficult. So how do you prove to people? How do you wake people up? The whole red pill, blue pill. So the iconic movie The Matrix is is a cinematographic appraisal of something which is extremely difficult to do. Which is, here, let's give you full enlightenment with just one pill. You just take this pill, you'll know everything. You'll wake up in the real world, in the reality. This is why you need to practice Kriya Yoga, folks. The practice of Kriya Yoga is, I mean, you can practice any yoga you want, but the Siddhana Yoga Parampara is clean. And if you look into what I mean when I say that they are clean, is that they are true to the mission which Babaji has set forth. And only by being true to that mission can you find people that are equally true to you. And because you are the mission, not only you are the mission, it's not you as you believe yourself to be, but God. God is the mission. And in your relationship to God in yoga, in Kriya Yoga in particular, to burn all those things which essentially can distance you from God. And in that sense, eventually you merge and you fuse with God, and only God remains. It's the drop mixing into the ocean, right? And there was no drop. There never has been a drop. There was only the ocean. The drop was just a memory. And that's what happens. A life, folks, that is worth living is a life where you only have the strict minimum that you need to live. And all the time in the world for you to enjoy God, because that's the highest point of enjoyment. You can't do that without actually meditating on God. It's impossible. You actually cannot, because you cannot appraise God from an intellectual standpoint. The experiences go way beyond what the human brain can even fathom. Even the best that your human heart can come up with, God is beyond that. So if you have 100 years to live, hopefully a slightest amount of those 100 years will be getting to God, and the highest amount of those years you will spend in the pleasure of enjoying God. Not to tell people that you become God, because a lot of people don't even understand what that means or what that implies. But whatever is possible from a human relationship to God, you can see it from that standpoint, from a soul's relationship to God, from an oversoul's perspective of God and experience of God. Whichever relation exists therein, it doesn't really matter. But definitely, you will have, that's a truly satisfying life worth living. And in fact, that's the only life worth living, as stated by Babaji Shiva Gorakshanath. It's very difficult to actually do yoga for most people because they don't they don't see the patterns. They don't see the patterns because the repetitive events happen, but at such a long pace that they cannot even see their own progress within the yoga system. They do one thing now, and then the next thing they do it 3 years later. They don't see a pattern. It's very difficult to appreciate. But people will see it. People will look at you. They'll see, man, you have changed. You are different. You're a different person. Folks, this world makes you a different person, regardless of who you were initially. Regardless, you will change. This is what this world does. It conditions you in a positive way, or you decondition yourself in a positive way. So, but the world will always condition people. There are some things that are known in yoga that people have to overcome, such as the fear of death. The fear of death is something that it's very difficult to overcome, but I think it can be done through creative practice. In fact, I think some masters have mentioned that dying is actually the way to lose fear of death. Once you die while you're meditating, you realize that there's nothing to fear because you are far more than you were ever when you were alive. You know, when you merge like death into the ocean and you cease your existence and you become that ocean of light, that alone is God, the splendor, like they say. We're gonna do a little video with listening to Yoga Vashishta. Yoga Vashishta is, I want to show you my favorite chapter of that's actually in um number chapter number 7. The third subchapter is particularly good, and I'm gonna put it on a next video. I want you to appreciate it because this is part of what we will be discussing in the Kriya Yoga lessons that are here, that are within the school. And I'm going to be meditating while we listen to this subchapter, but I think it's a very important one. It's very potent. In particularly, you will see. He says, mind is the vehicle of consciousness, so on and so forth. I mean, it's absolutely excellent. Uh, Intelligence is the vehicle of the mind. It's absolutely great. You have to listen to it, and just so you know that, I mean, there is a structure to your being. Your being actually has a structure. Uh, it's not physical like an ant hill or a home or a garage or a barn where you keep your horses. It may not have that degree of physicality, but there is. Listen to what they say and realize that you see they're actually sharp, accurate. They're not just speculating things. Next video, Yoga Vashishta.